What happens when someone steals your intellectual property? This happened to a friend of mine, Chris. I would call him just somebody that over the years I've respected a lot. I've seen his content and I've referred people to him and he's referred people to me. But he basically posted the other day. This is Chris Winfield, and he posted a lady took a couple of our programs, ripped them off completely, and then put me on her mailing list. And Katie, you can see the image here for those that are watching, if you know, and 213 people either laughed, cried, or gave shock. But what's more interesting is 115 people commented. And I read these comments, and a lot of them are, oh my gosh, that happened to me. I didn't know what to do. So let's talk about this, because a lot of people who are watching and listening, they kind of think at the beginning nothing they're doing is worth anything or there's not that valuable. But then you kind of make this shift, and that's what our book's about. And then you start realizing, no, I do have value. And then people actually do start stealing. So what do you see this happen, first of all?
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. And I think it probably happens even more so now because of the digital age we're in, right? Where people can just hop on your website. They can go take, a trial of your software and really look behind the sheets there and see what's
Yeah.
going on. And so Kary, I think you're a prime example too. This happened to you not too long
Oh,
ago
yeah.
too. And it's just a common problem that exists.
Here's what I have been telling people. I mean, I know I'll say, first of all, this is not legal advice because Katie's not working with any of you that I know of yet, but it's not a client lawyer relationship. But I tell people, first of all, screenshot it. Because when this happened, when I was searching the other day to cite a final reference in our book, I looked and I said, oh my gosh, I started reading, it was abracadabra blockchain. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's my TEDx talk. And so the first thing I did is I screenshotted it, because I knew the moment I reached out to the person, I thought they'd probably delete it. And they did. So is that like the first best step, is actually like retain a copy or screenshot it?
Yeah. Again, I would just say this is not for legal advice, but just
Right.
educational purposes only. But I'd say it's not going to hurt you to document it, right? Because
Document. Yeah.
people can take things down. And yes, there's ways you can go back and look at what was up, but kind of in that moment, it's best to document it so
Yeah.
that then you have a recording
Yeah.
of exactly what transpired.
And my words to Chris was not like, hey man, I'll sell you instant IP, be a customer. I actually led with, hey, you've helped me over the years. I'd love to help you back and at least get the first layer, which is in your course, to create a timestamp that this is actually your content and this is actually the date and time. Maybe that it wasn't created, but at least that we're documenting it. But he could, it's not like a book where you copyright things usually with a book, but what could Chris do if it is really an internet course that people essentially pay for, not to own? But I mean, is it, when you buy a course, is that what you're doing? You're buying a license?
Yeah, good question. So it depends on the terms of the relationship with the course. So a lot of times you are getting a license to the course materials. A lot of times you can use those materials internally with your
Mm,
staff, right? So long as it's not for commercial purposes. And so there's a lot of different ways you can protect the intellectual property within the course. So if the course has a unique name,
mm.
that would be protectable with a trademark. If there's
We actually did that with You Are an IP Company.
yes,
We thought, look, it is a book. You can't trademark a book singly, but you can trademark a book series, but then you and your team said, hey, but it's also a course. So we kind of trademarked it because of that, right?
Right. Because the thing to remember with trademarks too is when you go to register a trademark, you have to select what categories of goods and services you're using the mark for.
And these are called classes, right?
Classes of goods, right. And eventually you'll have to show use in those classes in order to get the mark registered. So that's where you want to kind of think strategically.
Yeah.
When you're writing that trademark application, what are the nature of the goods and the services that we're going to be realistically offering? And then that way you can get the trademark registered in the classes that make the most sense. Usually most marks are registered in like 2 to 3 classes.
Okay.
I would probably never tell somebody to register them in every class because there's just so many classes, right? Yeah. And you have to show use. So you want to be kind of very intentional to line up the classes that make the most sense. And then if you're offering with that program any unique content, right? Tools, thinking tools, those could all be protected with copyrights too.
Love it. So with Instant IP, the name, I did kind of go a little nutty because I thought, oh my gosh, my previous name was taken. We found that out after the fact. But because of that, I think I did do like 6 to 8 classes for Instant IP. Is that a little overkill, or you think I was just excited?
Not overkill, because in your case where you're using it in multiple kind of stages of the business with multiple different tools, areas of technology, that makes more sense. I'd say it's not irregular to register up to like 10 classes, but there's like, I don't know, 350 classes overall. And then you can also write your own class. So, it would be very hard to show proof of use in 350 different types of classes.
Yeah. But we reference Taylor Swift a lot, and she does have a bunch of classes.
Yeah. Well, and again, because, she's doing a lot of different things. She's writing songs. She's going on tour, selling merchandise, right? So there's different areas that make sense.
That's interesting. Okay. So this guy, Chris, first of all, glad he posted that. Second of all, the fact that so many people commented, it obviously is a bigger issue. Now, if this lady added him, obviously she's ignorant and there's other things going on there, but she then added him to her mailing list, maybe by accident, probably. But what do you do? Is this like, again, not legal advice, but this is where a cease and desist letter could make sense?
Yeah, I'd say usually, it depends on who exactly stole your stuff. If it's, maybe it was innocent, right? It was a client or something who didn't know. Then I'd say you probably wouldn't go just full out with a cease and desist. Maybe just a friendly outreach at first. But if it's a competitor and there was some ill intent behind it, then maybe just a cease and desist sent from a lawyer makes sense there. Just depends really on the nature of the relationship and what you're how you want to resolve it. Is it something where you're just going to say, okay, please stop, right? We want them to just stop. Or are you looking for monetary damages here?
Yeah. In our book, we talk about what is considered IP, and we give dozens and dozens of examples. One of the examples was a domain name. And this actually happened. I don't think I ever shared this with you, but this happened a few years ago where a friend, I wouldn't even call him a friend. I call him a colleague. We had spoke together on stage before. We weren't like friends, but anyway, he knew I would call him a competitor too. And he knew I absolutely was building this thing called Author Academy Elite, which was a publishing imprint.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden one day I get an email from him and he's like, "Hey, bought a domain name that you may be interested in. I'll sell it to you for $3,500." And I'm like, "What?" And he shows a screenshot. And so I had Author Academy Elite, and he went out and bought Author Academy. And I'm clearly in the screenshot. I'm like in the screenshot with my clients all around me, and we're holding books. And he's like, thought this might be associated with your brand. I'll sell it to you for $3,500. And truth be told, I actually had to buy it from him because I knew that it was going to create massive brand confusion if he had bad motives. But we had some mutual friends, and they're all like, "What is this guy doing? Like,
Right.
what is he doing? Like this, he's like losing a relationship, and he's getting bad vibes in communities because he's like." So let's just talk about that for a moment. Intellectual property, domain name, buying it for cheap and selling it for, like, is that out of line?
Yeah, domain names are tough because you really can have to pay a premium for them.
Yeah.
So usually what I tell people is once you're kind of set on the name before you file the trademark, and because the problem with trademarks, unlike
Public.
patents, it gets public right
Yes.
away. So secure the domain name first and then file the trademark, because at least then someone won't just go be a lot of times there's trolls who kind of like go search the trademark database and
Wow.
they start buying up those domain names, right?
Yeah.
Knowing you're going to be looking for them. And that's where then the prices get really out of hand.
Oh
So
my
better to
gosh.
try and secure it first, but sometimes that's not always possible.
I got to share something else in our last few minutes here. I've been getting this a lot. Now that I'm kind of out there being known for helping people with instant IP, this literally came across my desk. I'm not going to say it's even a scam, but I think it's pretty dirty. Um, so I'm going to read this to you, okay?
Okay.
Good morning, blank. I'm reaching out to you as an attorney of blank blank firm, a firm dedicated to safeguarding intellectual property rights for you. Our office has recently been engaged regarding an application filed by an applicant in Virginia seeking to so it's her state, seeking to register the name and then that person's business name for services nearly identical to what you currently offer. We've reviewed that your name is not federally registered as a trademark, blah, 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 blah. So I've seen this so many times now that it's copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And you can see where they inserted the other person's, like, this is literally a copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
Is this normal that they didn't say who, but they literally said, it's come to our attention that somebody, so I'm not saying this person is not an IP lawyer. I'm not saying this person is, not trying to help my friend, but a lot of my friends are now sending this saying that this is the email. Do you think that's dirty? Do you think it's
Yeah.
okay? Do you think?
So it's funny you bring this up because there's actually been federal guidance from the trademark office that there's mass quantities of these types of emails circulating right now, and they're all
Yes.
and so you have to be very careful. I've had, and I tell all my clients, if they get something like this, before you answer it, before you engage, send it to me first, because I had one client, for example, got this letter saying, you need to pay us $40,000 in trademark renewal fees. And they were literally about to wire the money over.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
called me like 5 minutes before. And I immediately told them, stop. Anything
Yeah.
you pay comes to us first, and this is a scam.
Yeah.
So they're prying on these people, again, because trademarks are public, so
Yeah.
they can go in there, they can see all this. So
But this person didn't have a trademark, so that was their angle.
yeah, but the thing is, I don't even think that's real because I've seen like 10 of these
Yeah, me too.
emails, and it's like the same storyline in
Yeah.
each of them.
Somebody reached out to us and,
Yeah,
oh, we're so good and we're so nice that we want to go to you first.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be dumb logic anyway. If you're an IP lawyer and somebody's coming to you and it's open and a client genuinely wants a trademark, don't you think, I mean, I don't know what policies are, but like, wouldn't you just honor the client who's coming to you because it's not trademarked yet? Would you go to a competitor who's also similar and be
Right.
like, oh, I want to go to you first?
Yeah. It's a little weird. I think they're trying to just try and make it seem friendly to
Yeah.
just enhance the level of the scamminess here.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's always be alert, especially with trademarks. You'll get a ton of these mailings, and you really want to speak to a lawyer first before you respond or engage with them.
I took not this one, but a couple friends ago, I took theirs and I just said, I'm gonna look at this person's website. And I went to the IP law firm and it was all AI generated lawyer pictures.
Yeah.
It was. So it was like meet our team, and like everyone is like you can tell they're AI. Like they're just, in the perfect suit, the perfect lighting, the perfect, and the perfect hair, everything. And I'm like, wow, they literally just set this business up. And who knows, maybe it's people who are literally filing, like genuinely filing, but the front of it looks so fake.
Yeah. It's kind of scary how sophisticated some of these scams are.
Yeah.
It's really, and especially if you're a first time entrepreneur and you've never done this before, you get a letter like that.
Yeah.
And it's scary and it seems real.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously you want to look into it because you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's where, I just tell everybody, speak with your attorney first, because there's probably some element of this being a scam involved here.
Well, I think that's a great place to land on this. And folks, again, Katie and I are here to help. We've seen people get excited about this podcast. They're sharing it. If you're loving it, please give us a rating and review. We look at those. And our goal really is with Caldwell to, I'm their poster child client. I love going to them. They help me with all my thoughts and ideas and issues. And so I totally recommend them. And then, as you are getting that first fast layer, consider Instant IP and check out Katie and I's book. It's doing well. It's almost at 100 reviews in about 8 weeks, Katie. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I just add too, we know that the topic of IP for entrepreneurs is exciting in a new area. And with a new year, we're launching a coaching session in a few weeks. So if anybody's interested in kind of getting their inventory of IP cleaned up in the new year, check it out too, because we're excited about what's to come from that.
Definitely. And I don't know when this one's going to launch, this episode, but if it launches after the first workshop, reach out, folks, because if we get enough of the demand, we'll do more throughout the year. Awesome. Thanks for being here, Katie.
Thanks a lot.
See you, everybody.